Let's talk about the furry comic Seeds of Adam. Sitting somewhere between 3 and 400 pages as the updates vary in size and scope, it is a road trip comic filled with action, laugh out loud jokes, and a world that makes no sense at all. We join main characters, I'm gonna butcher all these names, so be patient with me, Roble the Otter and Soren the Cheetah. They're on a never-ending road trip to find Roble's genius inventor boyfriend Gerardo while driving his very useful invention, the auto carriage. Basically, this guy invented the open-air car. Going from town to town, traveling from place to place, the two of them put up missing posters everywhere they go and get into plenty of hijinks and shenanigans along the way. The world that they're traveling in is a strange one indeed. For example, 1 year ago, the military and the police force across the entire country just disbanded. Why? How? The comic doesn't say. I feel like that's a really important detail. Did the government collapse? Was there an alien invasion? Did a massive world war strike governmental centers all across the globe all at once? There is absolutely no reasoning given. There's just no police or military anywhere. Towns everywhere have had to come up with their own militias to keep the peace, but it's basically the Wild West out there. Speaking of wild, magic is also a thing, the users of which are called eccentrics. There's no training, no spell books, or anything of the sort, it's just something that you're born with. Everyone that has the gift can narrow down their abilities to a single theme or word. Words like fire, or sound, or even something super specific like paper. What all of them have in common is they all seem to need some sort of focus tool. For example, the main villain of the series, Barkley, has sound-based powers, and he is wearing a corset. Okay. He has sound-based powers, and he always carries a conductor's baton in order to project them correctly. Anyway, the entire comic is centered around the idea of going from place to place, enjoying the open road, helping people along the way, and gathering up a group of friends and allies along the way. Roble and Soren start off alone in their little auto carriage, but it fills up fast as they take in stray after stray, including my favorite character, Angel the Blue Jay. Angel the Blue Jay is an eccentric with twofold empathy powers. That is, he can sense your emotions, and using those feelings, he can create emotional bullets for a magic gun. Stay with me. He feels your feelings and condenses them into bullets for a magic gun, and whoever he shoots with those bullets feels an overwhelming amount of that emotion. So if he shoots you with a sad bullet, instead of being injured, you are afflicted with soul-crushing depression for a certain amount of time. Angry bullets make you angry, etc., etc. And yes, I can already hear you asking, horny bullets make you very horny, and it is just as funny as you think it is. Now, why is Angel important? Angel is important because he serves as the only breadcrumb in the entire 400 some odd pages of what is happening with Roble and his boyfriend. Angel comes across Roble while he's having a dream about his missing lover, and says that while such dreams usually inspire feelings of happiness or love or even blatant lust, Roble doesn't feel that way when he sees his genius inventor boy toy in his dreams. No, he feels a sense of dread. Not dread that he'll never find him, but dread of being in his presence. Now, I'm not a therapist, but if I knew someone that was dreading being around their boyfriend, I'd wonder why they were with them to begin with. Was Harado abusive? Did he do something he shouldn't to Roble? Was he gaslighting him into staying together? Roble is very open about the fact that the two of them had an open relationship, so sleeping around was never any sort of problem, but Roble's subconscious doesn't like Harado, and it is never explained why. Which unfortunately leads me to the comic's biggest flaw. It suffers from what I like to call One Piece syndrome. You know, let's go to the next island, let's go to the next island, let's go to the next island, or, well, in this case, town, since it's a road trip comic. Let's go to the next town, let's get into some trouble in this town, and so on and so forth. And in about 400 pages of comic, we haven't done anything other than hang up a few missing posters for Harado. They don't visit his family, they don't drill his friends for details, visit his co-workers, retrace anybody's steps, look for bank statements, check his house and land for clues. Nothing. They are just driving across the countryside on a whim and a prayer. Harado is a genius inventor that invented a new form of rapid transportation and then disappeared without a trace, and Roble can't even be bothered to check the normal routes of investigation. Yeah, the police are gone, but someone that famous doesn't disappear for no reason. I personally have 3 theories. A, he was kidnapped by someone that wants to use his auto carriage inventions for something bad. B, he foresaw being captured or politicized or something and went into hiding. Or C, he's already dead and all traces of him have been carefully erased. The problem that this comic suffers from is once Harado is found, the story is either over or it needs to pivot in a major way to keep going. Much like my earlier comparison to One Piece, however, I don't think we're gonna see either hide nor hair of Harado until the author is ready to wrap up the comic. If you're old enough to remember Monster Hunter, you know, when and how will we find the Phoenix? In the last episode. Or Uber Quest, if you remember, I reviewed that. When will we find the time machine? At the very end, when everything's getting wrapped up. You know, when will Luffy become king of the pirates? In the last episode, etc., etc., etc. When you create a comic with a singular goal, you either have to understand that you're creating a finite story, or you just drag it on with absolutely no intention of concluding it until you're ready to wrap things up and call it done. Don't get me wrong, Seeds of Adam is funny, and the artwork is great, and the characters are fun to be around, but the story and the world it takes place in is complete Swiss cheese. In the grand scheme of things, the details just don't add up. The main plotline takes a back seat and is rarely even mentioned 90% of the time, and frankly, these little in-between filler comics don't help with the pacing. It's a great comic. It's PG-13 horny, the jokes are hilarious, the action is great, the character designs are top-notch, but this is not the story I was promised in the first 5 pages. It's essentially a never-ending road trip, and there has not been a single breadcrumb to lead us any closer to Harado on page 400 than there was on page 1. And that's a bad sign in a comic like this. This is the kind of comics that eventually just peter out because the author gets bored. You cannot spin your wheels for hundreds of pages and expect me to stay invested in the overall plot. Where is Harado? What happened to him? Is he still alive? Was he kidnapped by aliens? Is he hiding somewhere? It raises too many questions, and we are not given anything about what might have happened to him in 400 pages. So all that being said, should you read Seeds of Adam? Despite everything I just said, yeah, I'd say so. It's very entertaining. The stylized artwork is very good. It's genuinely funny. And funny comics are really hard to write. Like I said, it's PG-13 horny, which is always funny. Just don't think about it too hard, I guess. The author clearly has no intention of giving us any answers to the main plot anytime soon, and this comic started in 2019. For the sheer number of times that I laughed or grinned or nodded along with the amazing characters that are filling up this auto carriage, I say, check it out.